so that I can put it on YouTube. Here we go. Now I'm recording. Okay, so we've already talked about what happens right before this little scene. This is the final scene right here. And after the narrator's line, Gaston enters in right here and starts looking around for a moment, then sees Beast up here. And Beast has his back to Gaston. And so Gaston comes running up and ends up coming right here and says, "Ha! You're even uglier in the flesh." Beast looks at Gaston, then turns away. Gaston strides across the room and kicks him down. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Even though it says he strides across the room and kicks him down, that's not what's going to happen, okay? So Gaston is then going to turn the Beast around and face him. What was that, Dom?
Or he would stomp on me.
Or he would stomp on you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think so, but he has just lost the love of his life, and he has no reason to live anymore. So he doesn't really care currently.
Question.
And also, that's kind of you realize that there are two Beasts in your class. You're saying Garrett wouldn't?
Okay, yeah.
So
Garrett I could take Garrett. Let's be real here. We're being fair.
Shots fired.
He's taller than me.
Shots fired. All right, let's go to Garrett, who has his hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah. Which wing is Gaston? Is he coming from center wing or upstage?
Doesn't really matter. Wing 2, I guess. So middle wing. The entrance itself doesn't really matter. Just as long as what he's doing on stage, as long as he's doing that, that's what really matters, right? So he could come in from any of them. Number 3, number 1, doesn't matter. I don't care, right? It's just he gets to this spot, and it's probably easiest if he just comes in zone or in number 2. Okay, most likely.
Wait, is Dominic saying I'm stronger than Garrett?
I think that's what he was implying. Yes.
Well, we can always have a weightlifting.
We are going to do that at some other point in life. We now are going to focus on this since I have very limited time to teach you guys here. So anyway, he comes in right here and then goes up to there. And when he says, "Ha, you're even uglier in the flesh," Beast is going to kind of like turn around and look at him very sadly for a moment. And then he goes back to looking at the rose. And because of that, Gaston gets really upset, grabs him and pulls him all the way down the stairs and then throws him on the ground. So this now ends up being Beast right here with Gaston being right there. Okay, so that's what happens right there.
Again, I have to question this. How is Dominic gonna pick me up?
He doesn't pick you up. He's just like grabbing and moving you. Right? So it's not necessarily picking you up. He's just moving you, if that makes sense. Okay. So Beast collapses. He falls down and like onto the ground. Bam! Right in center stage.
On the stairs?
No, here, right in center stage, downstage center, right there. Okay. So then Dominic is standing there looking at him, and he says, "Did you really think a girl like Belle would want a thing like you? She despises you, Beast." And when he's saying she despises you, Beast, Beast is getting up, and he's starting to stand up. Okay. And by the time that Beast says no, he is standing but not looking at Gaston. Gaston will take a small step upstage while Beast is starting to come over this way. And Gaston, Dominic, when you do that and you get ready, like he starts coming at you, then you pull out your knife and you're like, "I'm ready, right? Let's go." Okay, because you're like, "All right, it's time." Right? He's actually gonna fight now, but he doesn't. Okay, he actually moves past you, and it comes to here. He is right here. In a place where the audience can still see him. So remember, the stairs are really wonky on this one, right? They come up like right here. So the audience still needs to be able to see you. So you haven't quite climbed up the stairs to the balcony yet, but Dominic, you're right about here, okay? Gaston, I mean. Gaston is right about here, okay? And then Beast is right there. So then Beast is about ready to go up the stairs when Gaston says, realizes, oh, he's just doing this, he's spurning me, right? Kind of thing. He's doing this just to make fun of me. And so Gaston is like, it's over, Beast. Belle is mine. Okay, and before Beast gets to the stairs, Gaston then takes a knife and plunges it into his back. So Beast is now Gaston is now right here. At that exact moment, Belle comes running in wing one. Wing one, right here. Okay, at that exact moment. So Zaylin, Maytal, Rebecca, that's you guys, okay? So then she pops in right here, and she's yelling out, no, okay? And so that's what she does right there. Beast, obviously, the moment that that you get stabbed, right, you have to like arch your back, throw it out, and give me like a big roaring, like roar of pain. Obviously, more beastly than what I'm doing right now. And then Beast will fall to the ground at Gaston's feet. So Gaston ends up kind of right here, and Beast, I'm doing a long version because you are on the ground and you are like at his feet, kind of right there. Okay, good. So then when Belle screams out, no, right, she will yell that. Both Beast and Gaston are shocked by this, right? They didn't expect to see her, so they both turn around. And Gaston is going to take a small step forward, right, looking at her like, what the heck are you doing here? Okay, so then, hold on, give me a moment. Then, Gaston, being right here now, he was looking over at Belle, who is shocked, right? She is just, like, oh my gosh, oh no, right? Everything like that. Beast finally has a reason to live. So as he's down, he looks up and sees Belle. And then he looks up at Gaston and he starts getting this like really angry look on his face. And by that point, Gaston turns back around and Beast is on his feet, standing over him. Okay, and that's when Beast will then grab his throat in a stage choke, which we will talk about later on. And that was what I was referring to when I was saying that we're going to have to do that in the studio, right? So a stage choke where Gaston will grab the Beast's hand, right? And he will wriggle and do all that stuff. And Beast brings him to his knees in center stage. So they get pushed, or he gets pushed this way until Gaston is right here with Beast now. So Beast is right here and Gaston is right here. Okay, so Beast is looming over him. He throws up his arm like a claw, like he's going to attack him, and he roars right in his face. Okay. And this is right after Gaston is choking out, let me go, I'm begging you, right, all that. And so he's getting choked out. The Beast forces him to his knees and raises up a claw like he's gonna just swipe his head off, bam, which he could, right? And so the Beast roars right in his face. But the moment that he does so, he looks up, and Belle has a look on her face that's saying, no, you're not a beast anymore, type feeling, right? And then Beast realizes that he can't hurt Gaston. He's too human now, okay? And it's because Belle is looking at him, and he realizes all of the change that has been going on in his life and all of that stuff. And so he then glares down at Gaston, and very growly, very, however you want to do it really, but I'm looking for more of like a get out, right, type thing. Okay, and then he throws Gaston to the ground, which we will have to do when we get back to the studio, and he catches himself. And when he does this, I guess we can just wait on that. We'll wait on it. But basically, he ends up kind of like shuffling backwards. Actually, not so much backwards, but more of like toward this way. And so then he ends up being kind of in between them on the ground, looking up at them, right? And he's looking between them, something like that. And then he just gets up and bolts off. and runs. Okay? So that is the end of Gaston that we see. Okay? Yes, Dominic has a question. Go ahead.
Oh, so wait, I was noticing during the scene, my last line I say is, "It's over, Beast, Belle is mine," and in the script at least, right there. But you said I say more stuff after that. So are we just adding that, or did I not get a page of the script?
So you do have a little bit more. If you look right here on the screen, you can actually see you do have another line right there. Is it not in your script?
It's not in my script.
Okay, then you would need to add that because it is in. Oh, maybe it's not in the new script.
Because it just goes from that to Belle I.
Huh.
It doesn't even have "Get Out" for me.
Really? Dang it. Okay. Yeah, this is the old script, and I prefer it, to be honest. So walk me through.
I have it.
Oh.
Garrett,
I
you
have the script.
Yeah, I have it.
It's
Wait,
page
so
115, 116.
So Garrett, didn't you find your script online though, and you just printed it out, or you got sent this one and printed it out?
Yeah, this one was actually sent.
Yeah. And so this is the old version. Dominic, how did you get your script?
I don't remember. I was at my friend's house and I came back and my mom gave it to me.
Okay, all right. So she might have gotten it from somewhere else. She might have
Do you
picked it up.
remember?
Are we supposed to use the old version?
That's what I was kind of banking on. Apparently, there's hardly any changes between the two, right?
I can just add those two lines.
That would be. Well. So we're not technically supposed to add lines, but we aren't supposed to change the script. And if this is our script,
I mean, who's to say if we forget or confuse some lines?
Right. Yeah. Who knows, right? So we're doing our best. We're doing our best here. Let me text Mary back. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, yes, Dominic, I would want you to add in these lines then. Okay. So the lines right here. Let me walk through. Starting with your "It's over, Beast, Belle is mine." Dominic, what is the next line in your script?
Oh, the next line in my script is
after "It's over, Beast, Belle is mine."
That's it.
No, not your lines, just the next line in general. So in this script, it's Belle. No. Okay, so it is Belle saying no. Then what's next?
And then it says the Beast turns and grabs Gaston, ready to kill him, and then it goes into Belle I, and that's it.
Oh, okay. So it must have cut off some stuff. That's probably what happened, because if he turns to Gaston and then is about to kill him and just goes Belle I, oh, yeah, right? Because that happens. That happens. Hold on. Yeah,
what
Belle I is right here. So you must not have page 115 and 116, because Belle I is 117 right here.
Oh yeah, mine goes 114 to 117.
Okay, yeah. So this is what's going to happen. Yeah. So you might want to take a picture of this or something similar. Once again, I might be able to. Let me do this. I'm going to share it in the group chat. This is the link to the script, right? So that you can have the full one, and then that way you have pages 115 and 116. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Garrett has his hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, didn't mean to.
Okay, no problem. All right. Any other questions before we move on? No? Okay, awesome. So super simple. And again, I'm recording this so you can refer back to it. It's going to be on the BK Summerlin YouTube, so you'll be able to take a look and see. Okay. And then right here, let me see. Okay, so we just barely left off with get out, and then Gaston backs up and like kind of shimmies, looks around, and then he just bolts, okay, and he is gone. Okay, so there's a moment right after he is gone, right here. And by the way, actually, Dominic, you are done, unless you had any other questions, so you don't have to stay for the rest of it, even though, you know, whatever. So it's up to you. You can take off or you can stay. It's up to you.
I'll stay for a little bit longer.
Okay, cool. So this is Beast.
You don't
right
have
here.
to stay, but we'll make you feel really, really uncomfortable if you don't.
We will shun
And
you in
that's the
class.
truth.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So here's what happens right here. Okay. So Gaston sags, gasping for breath. That's not true. He ends up just running out and doing all that. Seeing that Belle has truly given her heart to the beast, ashamed of his own cowardice, Gaston runs away. The beast turns towards Belle. So there's going to be a moment's pause. And I want this really, really bad, where it's like silent in the stage for a moment, right? And he ends up looking over at Belle after Gaston is gone. And then he says, Belle, right? And as he's saying Belle, he starts walking toward her and then collapses. Okay, now this part we're going to have to do in the studio because it's a very specific hold that I need Belle to be able to do with Beast. Okay, so she's going to be in kind of the princess sit, right, where her knees are like this type thing, right, and then she's holding him like this, and so it can be very, very complicated, especially as he's falling. You have to get into that position, and it's very, very complicated, so we have to practice it in the thing. But anyway, so here's what ends up happening. Beast is now lying this way, he's now lying this way. Here's Belle, and Beast is lying this way with his head over here and his legs down here, okay? And so he is kind of like being supported, looking up at Belle, who is like right here, okay? And if this is the audience's view, he's leaning back like this. Let me turn off my thing real quick. So he is, one sec. So he's leaning back, and she's like right here looking down at him. Okay, and so now that's kind of how that's supposed to look. Okay, and that's kind of how that's working. So then, once they are in that position, which is pretty quick, by the way, it'll go kind of fast. So he says Belle, and then collapses, bam, and she then starts saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." The beast staggers towards Belle and collapses, which already happened. Okay, so he says, "You came back." Okay, and that's where we're going to start it right from here. Okay, so when he says you came back, there's some music that starts playing, and she says, "Of course I came back. I couldn't let them. If only I'd come sooner." And Beast, now real quick for everybody, whenever you are playing a death scene, right, less is more usually when it comes to it. Okay, you don't want to be over the top with death scenes. It's very, very tacky. It looks horrible, right? So less is always more. One of the best ways that you can play a death scene is to just pretend that you are falling asleep, right? You are overly tired, especially from a wound like this. And you have to think about, like, how is this person dying, or what are they dying from, right? Because someone who is getting blown up in an explosion is going to die very differently than someone who's dying of cancer, right? Something like that. So in this moment, he has been stabbed. The most dangerous thing about a stab wound is not necessarily the damage that is done to the internal organs, it's the bleed, right? So you bleed out, essentially, and that's why they are very dangerous, right? So you get stabbed by something, you bleed out, and that's really, really awful, right? So when you bleed out, ultimately it's as if you are losing all of the strength in your body, right? And so you are becoming very weak, right? Shaky, cold, everything like that, because blood tends to keep all those things in balance, right? So when you bleed out, that's the feeling that I'm looking for. So Beasts, that is kind of what I'm expecting that you will be doing, right? So show me shaky, show me weak, show me cold, right? Shivery, stuff like that. Yes, Ori has his hand up. Oh no, you were just holding it there. Okay, all right. Seems strange. Okay, let's move forward. So he says, "I'm sorry." Okay, and she says, "You came back," and he says, "You came back," and she says, "Of course I came back. I couldn't let them. If only I'd come sooner." Good. So then he's gasping out, maybe it's better this way. She says, shh, 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 we're together now, you'll see. And I want you to be stroking his hair or something like that, okay? You're holding his face, somehow, you know, caressing him, letting him know, I'm here, it's okay, you're gonna be fine. So he says, at least I got to see you one last. Now, here's what's going to happen during this moment, okay? So after all this happens, the lights go down, and there's going to be a single spotlight on you guys in Downstage Center, okay? And so it's going to be almost pitch black with just like a purplish kind of white light on you, right, as Belle is singing this song. So it is very, very solemn, right? It's a very important moment, and it's very, very serious as well, okay? So she ends up singing this, and hopefully we can bring tears to the audience's eyes. So she sings, we are home, and all of this other stuff, and there's no real blocking here other than one little moment where she says, where do I want it? Where have I had it in the past, and where do I want it now? So there's going to be a moment where Belle is going to take his hand. He's going to start lifting his hand, and then she places it onto her cheek. Right? So she's looking down at him. His hand comes up. She grabs it and places it onto her cheek. Okay, and I'm trying to think. I think where I had it in the past was when she is singing, "I Found Home." He starts raising up his left hand, and then she grabs it and puts it to her cheek by the time that she is saying, you're my home, stay with, okay, and then it's here, okay, by like stay with me, okay, or stay with. All right, so that's, and I think that's probably the best place that we can put that. So he's going to start raising his hand on I Found Home, okay? And then she says, you're my home, grabbing it, stay with, okay? And then he gasps. And this is a very important moment from, at the very least, a medical background, right? And a medical standpoint, because this is showing like, like it's about ready to happen, right? So he's fighting with everything that he is to stay there with her, but it's not going to happen, okay? So he needs to gasp. I need to see that. And it doesn't have to be over the top. Again, dying is, don't do it over the top. It looks super goofy, super bad if you do, okay? So anyway, he gasps, and then he says, Belle, hi. And you can deliver this line however you want. I've had some students saying it like he's continuing a thought, right? Or he has a thought that he wants to convey to her. I've had some where it's almost like a panic, right? Like where he's like, Belle, hi, right? And he's scared or sad, right? So you can do a couple of different things, try different things, and see what works for you when you say that line. But ultimately make it your own. Okay, I want you to have your line and have it be you, right? Instead of me telling you, hey, this is how I want it done. I want it to be what you feel is the best thing that Beast can do at that moment, okay? And Belle, of course, sobbing, says, yes. And then that hand that he had up against her cheek, this is so that the audience can see that it's truly done. He collapses. Now, when you collapse, this is super important, very critical that you do this, okay? When that hand comes down, it either has to fall in one of two places, right onto your chest or down at your side, okay? Down here. And I'll tell you why in just a sec. But ultimately, it has to come to one of those spots. Ori, did you catch that? I see you hanging out with your kitty cat. Yes, no, maybe so. You did.
She's
okay.
Blocking the screen.
Got it. Okay, but either way, when you die, it has to happen one of those two ways. Okay, has to happen. Okay, so then, right here.
Question.
Yes.
Question.
Go ahead, Garrett.
When we die, do our eyes remain open or closed?
They will close. It's going to be easier for the audience if we do it that way. Okay.
Okay.
although I'm open to having Belle close his eyes. I'm open to that, but we'll see. Okay. So anyway, so Belle, yes, no, please don't leave me. Okay. So please, I love you. All of that stuff as ultimately feel what she is feeling, feel what she is going through, understand why she is saying those lines, and then perform them in that way. Okay. So that's for my Bells, right? So I've seen good performances of this, and I've seen great performances of this. And ultimately, I think the main difference was that they really took the time to practice that line specifically and bring it out. And also, it will help tremendously when we actually get back on stage, because then you guys can practice together the timing and all of the things that go into it, okay? So this line is a very important line, and I think it can get lost in some of the confusion or like, I don't know how to perform it type thing. So practice, and come up with something that feels super natural and super real. If you can get into the mindset of, I am actually crying on stage because, you know, this is Belle instead of this is Beast, right? Then that will help even more. Rebecca, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
When you're saying the line, the no, please don't leave me, do you want the Belle to like shake him or no?
It's up to you. No, ultimately, that would be whatever you feel Belle would do, right? She can try to shake him, grab his chest, looking around, trying to see, what can I do? How can I help? But ultimately, it would not be successful, right? But yeah, so yeah, if you feel like you would shake him, right, or you would collapse onto him or something like that, right? Actually, save the collapsing, because that happens in just a moment, okay? But ultimately, yeah, feel it. Yeah, Garrett, go ahead.
Who is my Belle?
Rebecca is your Belle, right?
Boy.
No, Maytal?
No, it's Maytal.
Oh, okay, Maytal.
Garrett,
Maytal is your
boy.
Belle. Okay, so Maytal is your Belle. How did you not? Never mind. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So then, here's what happens, and this is pretty complicated. So just follow along. I'm going to do my best to kind of describe how this is going to go. Now, Belle, when you first came in a couple of scenes back, right before the mob song, right here, where Belle and Maurice enter, you have a cloak on. Okay, and so you've had this cloak on the entire time leading up to this moment right here. Okay, so when he collapses and dies, you still have the cloak on. You say this line, please, I love you. Okay, then I want you to momentarily collapse onto his chest and kind of sob, cry. Okay. And of course, when we are sobbing, when we are crying, right, we have to show the audience that we are doing that. So heaving chest a little bit, right, big deep breaths, right, that will show the audience that you are doing it. And of course, you can have your face covered on his chest, and it's fine. Okay, so here's what ends up happening right there. Okay, so you pause and you weep for a moment, and you're very sad right after that. Then maybe I have a thing that I can use to kind of show you. So let me do this real quick. Hold on. I'm going to spotlight my video, and I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment so you guys can kind of see what I'm looking for. I'm going to grab like a towel or something so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Okay, one sec.
Gaston is just jealous that Beast has more hair.
Okay. So Belle has her cloak on right here. She has Beast, and then she sets him down, and then she sobs. Okay, and so she starts sobbing and doing all that. Then after a moment, she composes herself and maybe wipes away a tear, something like that. And then she's going to take off the clasp of her cloak, and she will do something very special with it. Okay, she will flip it around like this, and she is now going to start trying to lay it on top of the body very slowly. During this time, Beast is going to start changing, and it's very, very rapid. It's very fast, okay? He has 3 things that he needs to take off: 2 gloves and his hat thing, okay? So when he does this, she's hiding him behind the towel, behind the cape, and when that happens, he's then going to very quickly do this. And that is one of the reasons why I had you put your hand right here or right at your side, is so that when she lays the thing down, it's covering you entirely, okay? And Belle, when you do that, you have to make sure that it's covered pretty well and that the bottom of it hits the floor all at the same time so that the audience can't see it. And eventually, you will be able to lay it right on top of him, and it will be right there, okay? And if he does it correctly, then he should be able to just boom, 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 and then he puts it at his right side, right here, okay? So he's laying this way, right? And then she puts the thing over, bam, 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 that fast. It should be that fast. So she should be able to just kind of gently let it down, and that should be more than enough time, hopefully, for him to be able to do that, okay? Then, in just a moment, once she lays the thing over his body, okay, he is now still and silent, trying not to breathe. So take a deep breath, beasts, right, before you actually, she puts the thing fully over you. And Belle's, remember, you have to be the one to make sure that it is in place and that he is fully ready, right? You can't put it down before he takes the thing off, okay? So then, right after that, let's go back to the share screen here. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So now, on stage, right here, Beast is here, Belle is here, and after she puts the cape down on his body, she once again rests and does the patented Disney flop and sob. She flops onto his chest and sobs a little bit, and that is when some music is going to start playing. Whoops, not there. It is right here. That is where the music is. And so some music starts playing, and that is the music for the transformation. So a lot of lights and stuff will start flickering, and it's going to be going all over the place. Meanwhile, a enchantress will be coming by, and she will be, dancing in and doing her thing, yay, 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 dancing around. And Belle, when the enchantress comes in, she is amazed by this, and so she will run to downstage left. Okay, and so she's kind of like, oh, shocked by this. And so the enchantress is dancing around and doing her thing, and the enchantress ends up pulling off the cloak and wrapping up all of the other stuff in it. Okay, then Beast, he is going to be rising, and as he is rising, he is going to have his back to the audience. And there's a moment in the music where it's like, ba da 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 da, and then he's going to turn around, and now he is human again. Okay, and that is currently the best way that we have it to do the transition. Currently, it might change. We might be able to have something new or whatever. But anyway, so the enchantress will come in. She'll take all of the stuff away, and then she will run off when it's time. Beast ends up standing up, and he's roughly here-ish, and then he flips around, okay? Bum, 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 bum. Oh. And then he's feeling himself, looking at his hands, and then he looks over at Belle, and he sees her, and she is shocked, like, what the heck? What is going on? Okay? And that's when he takes a step toward her and says, Belle, look into my eyes. Don't you recognize me? And then she takes a step forward and meets him here, so that they are now both standing face to face right here. And she is going to like study his face and look very closely at him, right? And then she realizes and says, it is you, okay? And that's when they hug, and he's going to pick her up and spin her around for a moment, okay? And so they're going to hug, okay? Then we do the stage kiss, the very first one, okay? That's when that is going to happen. So then after that point, Mrs. Potts, Lumiere, and Cogsworth all start running in, and they are going to end up right over here-ish. Okay, it's somewhere over here. And they're looking at each other, and they're human again as well. And so they say these lines, oh my, oh goodness me, all that. Meanwhile, the prince, who is Beast, and Belle, they are looking at each other and pretending to talk amongst themselves, right? Right, talking, pretending, okay? And then at about this one right here, we're human again. The prince looks over and sees them and goes running over to Mrs. Potts, who is right here. Then Lumiere, who is right here, and Cogsworth, who is right here. Okay, so he ends up running over to Mrs. Potts and says, Mrs. Potts, boom, wraps her up in a big hug. And then she's like, oh, right, all that. And then Mrs. Potts takes a step aside and lets him hug Lumiere when Lumiere says, Master Lumiere, oh, right, hugs him, maybe spins him around for a moment, and then eventually he ends up right next to Cogsworth. So this is Beast. Lumiere and Potts are kind of over here. And he kind of grabs Cogsworth and he's like, Cogsworth, oh my, Cogsworth, right? And then he's like, nice to meet you, right? And then after that, hold on, let me see where we're at. So then he says, Cogsworth, oh my, Cogsworth, or oh my, Cogsworth. And then he runs back over to Belle and says, Belle, let's go find your father. Okay. Then after that, once he runs back over, he's now here, and they go running off. Which would be the best way for you guys to change? Probably this way, right? So they go running off this way, allowing these guys to remain on stage. So they go running off to stage left. Now, a couple of things are happening right here. Belle immediately has to get in touch with the costume people who are waiting right here because she's now changing back into her big, beautiful golden dress. Okay, that's what's happening right there, that fast. Okay, Beast runs around, puts on his jacket, will be met by someone either here or here, costume people, and you're putting on your jacket again and looking fancy. Okay, so that later on, after this scene is done, you guys can walk back in, most likely walking in like this, depending on what Miss Melanie wants, but this is what I would want, where you guys are walking in, Belle from this side, Beast from this side, and they come together and then hold hands and move down here. And this is during the part of the finale when we are singing, 2 lives have begun now, 2 hearts become one now. So you do have a little bit of time to change, but you don't have a massive amount of time, okay? So you have to just remember, I got to change quick. It's happening now, okay? So, Belle, right, let's go find your father. And so, anyway, Chip, oh, my boy, right? This is when the music starts up for the finale, by the way, is right here. So she says, thank you, Cogsworth. I simply can't believe this gown fits me after all these years. Mama, ba-da-da-da-da. Right, and the music starts. Chip, oh, my boy. Are they going to live happily ever after, Mama? Yes, oh, of course, my dear, of course. Do I still have to sleep in the cupboard? And then everyone is, ah, ah, ah. And that is when you guys are entering in, okay? Actually, I think we'll have you guys start entering here so that you have time to come together and then move down stage so that you can sing right here. 2 lives have begun now. And that's when that takes place, is right here, okay? Then, once you guys sing this part, one thing forever true, I love you. Another stage kiss right here, okay? So that's the second right there. So another stage kiss, and then you guys say, certain as the sun, and you guys start singing that part, and you guys will just be right in center singing out toward the audience with big smiles on your faces until the very, very end, right here, where they say, be song as old as rhyme, Beauty and the Beast. Ah. Last stage kiss. 3 of them. There are 3 of them. So, buckle up.
Question.
I figured. Yes, go ahead.
Many questions.
Uh-huh.
The most prevalent would be: is there a specific type of stage kiss you would like, or because there's multiple ways of doing it?
They already explained the way that we're doing it. We're doing the thumb stage kiss.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, the way that it'll happen is Beast will grab her here roughly, and as he's pulling her in, these are thumbs at this moment. He puts his thumbs in between. Now we also, in order to keep the audience from seeing that you are placing your thumbs, you turn your head a little bit. Okay, which is natural anyway. I don't know if any of you have had your first kiss yet, but usually
No.
when people are kissing, the actual mechanics of it is it requires that people turn their heads. Okay, so you kind of have to tilt your head a little bit anyway, right? So Beast, you can either tilt this way, right, or you can tilt this way. Okay, and either way will
Are we gonna have to practice this?
Heck yeah, lots.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, pop that bubble, children. Pop the bubble.
You don't want to actually kiss.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't mind. If you and your partner and your parents are all okay with that, it actually looks much better because it's much more real. But I understand.
Yes.
That's why we chose to do stage kisses. However, once you guys become an applause group, we don't do those anymore. It is for real. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, Rebecca has her hand up. Go ahead.
So I know we're gonna be practicing the stage kiss and stuff, but is it the man that tilts, or is it the girl
it's
that
both.
tilts?
It's both, right? But he's
Okay.
the one in control, is what I'm saying, right? So he is the one who can tilt or whatever, right? But it's both, right? So if you and we'll learn more about this when we're actually doing the kiss. Oh, by the way, Encore is not doing the kisses. Sorry, Encore, you're not doing the stage kisses. Yeah, so Zaylin, Brave, you guys are off the hook. Yeah, I'm not sure that Zaylin would want to kiss that anyway. It is a piece of toast, seemingly, right? But
I don't want to kiss that.
Whatever floats your toast, I guess. Not my best.
Toasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Oh my.
Not your best.
Oh my. Is that supposed to be like a turtle or something? Oh, that's horrifying. Oh my gosh, it's horrifying. Jeez. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the eyes like contract.
I think it's a snail. It has Oh
Oh
my gosh. That is truly terrifying. Oh my gosh. Wow, well done. Okay. Anyway, we are going to move forward. So do we have any questions about any of that stuff at all? Yes, no, maybe so. No? Okay. All right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are good unless we had any questions about anything at all, like not just what we've gone over, right? Do we have any questions at all about anything? No? All right. Then I think we are good. I'm going to stop recording.